So I playtested the card game that I'm working on with someone, and within about 2 minutes, they told me the thing. I'm getting bored. Now, to be fair, it was my 6-year-old daughter that said that, but also to be fair the other way, I'm trying to make a game for kids. So now what? Hang on, let's get the mic. Oh, I think I turned it off. So just click it on. There we go. Now, let's review where we left off in the last video. So I'm making a game where the parents play as the evil villain, and they're laying out their evil plan. Our favorite one was turn all cats into alligators.
Oh no! Get out of here! I'm scared right now! Pull it by the tail! This thing sucks!
Now, how are they accomplishing that? They are hiring henchmen, and they're getting IOUs from the governor. Thank you to Hex Retro for that idea. We've got inventions that they're collecting, and those resources are all going towards accomplishing those evil plans. Now, who are they facing? Well, there's a kid on the other end as the superhero, and they're using whatever resources they have, which are things like strength, flight, teleportation. Now, how do all of those things practically, logistically, mechanically work? That's where we're still trying to flesh it out. And after we got that far, I actually sat down over there with my daughter and we came up with more card ideas. We laughed, especially the evil plans. And later on, she told me that that was her favorite part of the day. And I gotta say, I agree. So our original goal of making a game where parents and kids can have fun, I feel like we're cruising right along. Until we actually tried playing it. I found a hook in my ceiling and it happens to be the exact same threads as my camera, so how's this? Well, pretty quickly we found ourselves in a loop because I was adding resources, she was removing resources. There was like no impact on the cards that we were playing, no narrative sense, and we weren't even making any progress. So she was right. Now that doesn't mean the original concept of adding and removing resources is completely unusable. I think that there is still something there, and it creates so much more opportunity for fun with the henchmen and the IOU and the inventions. We need to keep that in some capacity. But it's not the core. I don't think that the resources are the core gameplay. There's got to be something else that I build the foundation from. And how do I know this? Well, what if I told you that I've spent years studying game design, learning every model, every mechanic, every strategy, and then what if I told you that's not at all what happened and I'm just going with my gut? What would you say to that? Which one are you gonna believe? It's probably obvious at this point, but I don't know what I'm doing. But I do have a hunch because I sat down and I was thinking, what do each of these players want to feel? The parent and the kid, they're playing different roles, and so because of that, I think that they need to be going after two different emotions. And I think the kid was the first one that came to me because they like to feel powerful. I mean, think of a toddler and you start building a tower next to them and just the immense joy comes across their face when they realize, I get to be the one who knocks that down. Or an older kid who wants to have a sword fight and like the smirk that comes across their face when they finally slay the parent.
He's got a sword!
But the parent's emotion is, I think, where I start to get off track because my original idea was I wanted them to feel strategic. And that's not really an emotion. That's just like a state of being, or I don't know what you would call that. So what is that emotion then? Like, let's pull up a thesaurus and just go to town from, strategic. We've got planned, calculated, deliberate, tactical, clever. Clever is getting closer. I think that's more the idea that we want. We want it to feel creative, subversive, maybe sneaky, sly, crafty, cunning, wily. I mean, that is a lot of the, for now I'm thinking like scheming or devious, I think is a pretty strong one. Cunning? I think we want the parents to feel cunning. Not a word that we use very often, but I think that's the core of what the evil villain is trying to do. Yeah, because I think a villain's greatest weapon is probably their secrecy. Because how short would a Batman movie be if the Batman knew all of the Joker's plans?
We've been given the plainest warning. They're working together to take over.
To take over what, Batman? Gotham City?
Any two of them might try that.
The whole country?
If it were 3 of them, I would say yes. But 4, their minimum objective must be the entire world.
I think that's the tension that's at play. Because for a villain that is facing a hero with great power and great responsibility, they're just hoping that they can keep it all under wraps long enough to pull it off. So then what happens when powerful meets cunning? I don't know. I'm a little bit stuck again because I really like getting abstract and philosophical about these questions, and then when it comes to transferring that into practical gameplay, I get stuck every time. Whatever that mechanic ends up being, I think that the key is that the evil plans are about being secret, and the hero is trying to uncover those evil plans, because as soon as they know, that's when they get all the advantage. So one idea I've been kicking around is, what if we take that evil plan, and on that card we have kind of a layout of, let's say, 3 cards like that, and on that card we have a henchman on the top, we have a billion below that. Now I'm thinking this is viewed reverse for the kid, and then we've got I for invention. So the plan card is face down on the table, and they can pull it up and check the pattern there, and they're drawing cards into their hands that are billions and henchmen and inventions and things like that, and then they know that they have to make this shape on the table. So then they're grabbing their henchman and they're putting it there, and then they're grabbing their invention and putting it here. But then meanwhile, the kid grabs their super strength and they put it there. They don't actually know the plan, they're just blocking it. They happen to be blocking it. For all they know, it could be an L the other direction. And then maybe one of the ideas too is, what if the kid has sidekicks? One of the ideas that my daughter had was, I think it was like a super hamster. So the kid has a super hamster, and the sidekicks this is kind of a game of rock, paper, scissors going on here, where the sidekick gets to cover up the henchman, and then it becomes more like stacking until I finally land one of my plans, and then I get to flip it. Meanwhile, the kid is getting cards in their hand that maybe reveal the evil plan, and then they can then see that scheme. But then it gets more interesting as you stack evil plans, and as long as you make that pattern, that evil plan locks into place and it's accomplished. And I actually think this is a viable direction. It's kind of code names meets like Connect 4 or something.
Pretty sneaky, sis.
I do have one thing that kind of worries me a little bit, which is that it feels like the gravity of each card isn't as important as where you place it. And so I think that'll make the cards have a little bit less personality, a little bit less weight maybe. And also narratively, I don't think it's telling a huge story at this point, other than, you put the henchman here and the invention here. So while I do think that this is an actual mechanic that could work, especially if you add some complexity to it, I don't know that it's there narratively. But let's go through our checkboxes real quick. Does it make the kid feel powerful? So far, I don't think so. Unless we get a lot of cards going in their hand that can do more things, and I think that's where the complexity can come from. Maybe we're on our way to that. But at the core of it, I don't think that we've successfully made the kid feel like they're a superhero. On the flip side, does the parent feel cunning? I think for the most part, because they're creating a pattern that the kid doesn't know, and they can even throw the kid off by making it look like they're going a different direction. You know, that's where Connect 4 kind of comes in. I don't know if this is going to be the full direction of the game, but I think it's enough of something to playtest, ask you about, and just kind of get the ideas out, and then have something to work with for the next phase. So for now, that's the concept. Please let me know what you think. It's getting really hot up here, so I'm gonna leave, but let me know your thoughts. Drop your comments, your likes, and whatever, all those things, but I'm excited to keep this going.